Welcome, everybody. And this is Starting Out Bright. In case we have not met, I'll just tell you very quickly who I am. And people ask me all the time why I'm doing the Zooms. So my name is Noreen Savage, and this, first of all, is nothing official with Bright Line Eating. But I've gotten a lot of benefit from the program, and I truly think that it's a wonderful thing for people. I know it has been for myself. 2 years ago, my friend Lori posted on Facebook that she had lost 57 pounds by using Bright Line Eating. And if anybody was interested, they could just private message her and she would give you the scoop. So I quickly went over to my messenger and I quickly found out the 4 bright lines. That if you're new, there's a book, Bright Line Eating by Dr. Susan Pierce Thompson, and talk about 4 bright lines. And those are no sugar, no flour, 3 meals a day, and weighed and measured portions. And when I heard that, I felt sunk, because I thought there's absolutely, positively no way I could do that. But I really like Lori, and we went out for lunch. She told me more about the program, and then I just let that sit for a couple months as I just took it all in, and I realized where I was at. I was in a lot of pain. My feet were swollen, neuropathy. My knee was just excruciating pain, backache. I was 270 pounds at 5'2", and that was a lot of weight. I went to bed at night sometimes wondering if I'd wake up in the morning. So I was at a point of pain, but now I look back and I am grateful for that pain, because it gave me the willingness to begin a program that I probably wouldn't have done. And I'm now not looking back. I'm not to goal yet, but I have passed Wonderland now. So I'm past the 200 mark. And one thing that my friend told me, well, she said, get the book, but she also said to get into the community. And at that time, I got into We Eat Right with Lines. And as I saw person after person show their success, I just received so much hope. And this community was so great and encouraging. And I promised myself that if I lasted 1 year with Bright Line Eating, I would do what my friend Lori did. I would post on Facebook and I would help anybody I could. Well, I'm a Christian, and just before that year was up, I felt God told me, Noreen, you can do more than that. You could connect people by Zoom, by sharing these people who have been so instrumental to your success with those who desperately need help and hope. And so that's how the Zooms were born. And I believe this is number 46. I can't believe it. Nobody's more surprised than me. And tonight you are in for a treat, because tonight we have Erin Hart. Erin, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm so
excited to be here.
I'm so happy you're here with us. And, you've posted some things on one of the private Facebook groups, maybe even the official, because now there's an official group. There are probably like 50 private groups too. But I saw your success, but I also saw your humility and just this presence of wanting to serve and help somebody if you could, by sharing your story. So I sent you a message, and you probably didn't know who I was, but you went ahead and said, yeah, I'll help anybody I can.
Yeah, so, I'm really excited to share my story, and I love your podcast. I think that you're doing a great job getting the word out and helping people to learn more about Bright Line Eating. It's definitely changed my life.
Well, I thank you. And let's start by, I told a little bit about my story. If you could take us back to where you were before you began Bright Line Eating, what led up to it? I mean, you can go as far back as you want, but could you just share what got you started and where are you now?
Yeah, I would love to. So I'm 37 I'm a nurse, and I'm a mom of three beautiful little girls. They are ages 8, 6, and 1, and we live in Salt Lake City, Utah. I've always struggled with my weight and overeating since I was a child, and I was pretty fit in early adulthood, but really put on a lot of weight after I got married and had three kids. So with each baby, I would gain a lot of weight. I gained 50 pounds with each baby, and then I'd lose 20, and then I'd have another baby gain 50, and it just compounded until with my third baby, I delivered her weighing 306 pounds. And then after she was delivered, my weight settled out around 285. Um, and I'm 5'7". So that was really heavy for me. And I just felt really hopeless at that point and powerless to change. I felt so sick and I'm tired, and I felt sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Mm-hmm.
I was really uncomfortable and embarrassed that I had done this to myself, and I felt so weak. And I got to the point that I really didn't recognize myself in the mirror, and I didn't feel like the mirror reflected my true self. And I really didn't like that. So I knew that I had to change so that I could be there for my children. Um, I tried so many different things. I've tried Weight Watchers New. I worked with multiple dietitians. I did Body for Life for Women, exercising, um, calorie counting, everything, and I would do really good. I would lose, 15 pounds. I'd be so gung ho. I'm a very all or nothing person. Um, and then I would gain it all back and more. And and something would happen in my life, and then the program would just completely unravel, and I'd go back to eating the way I used to, and gain all the weight back and more. So it was really frustrating because I knew what to do. I'm a registered nurse, and I've been a nurse for 15 years. And I've learned a lot about health and nutrition in college and through the many weight loss programs that I had done. And, knowledge wasn't my deficit. It was, um, you know, I just felt powerless and unable to change. So I'm a really emotional eater, and I work in the highest level of NICU in the area. So we get extremely sick babies from the 5 surrounding states. And my job can be really stressful and emotional at times. I work nights, weekends, and holidays. Nights were a real big trigger for me to binge. And just being a mom of 3 kids is a wonderful challenge. But I would use food to cope with the stress and emotions of life. So I never put together that I was a binger or a food addict until I started this program.
So how did you so how did you get to, yeah, I mean, I'm hearing you saying you're starting all these programs, and I'm tracking right with you because I did the same thing. Like maybe not all the same names, but I guarantee you we were doing the same things, 15 up and come back. And you have I think that your situation, a young person who has probably been athletic, as you said, you're keeping the weight off for a bit, but then when you have the pregnancies and everything, it's like a gain 50 or 40 or whatever. But after the baby comes, you've only taken off like 20 of that. And then you're tired. Like I mean, I used to always say sleep when the baby's sleeping, but it's not always possible. And so you've got the stress going on. And if you're looking to food for those emotions, it's really, really tough. So you found yourself in a spot where now you don't even recognize this Erin in the mirror.
Yeah.
So where did you go from there? Where did you find Bright Line Eating? Was it just handed to you, or?
So, well, I had started to have signs of pre-diabetes, and that really scared me. So I felt like I was kind of rock bottom. at a bottom place in my life, kind of like what you said, like that pain led you to want to change.
Yeah.
And I really identify with that because I was just in a place that I felt rock bottom. And yeah, so knowing those health implications that come with diabetes, it runs in my family. I knew I had to change, because I knew my future wasn't looking good if I kept on this path. So I posted a vulnerable post on a mom's group for my church about seeking for a program that could help me to lose 120 pounds. And I got 100 plus replies.
That's amazing.
Yeah, like that post really changed my life. Multiple people recommended Bright Line Eating, so I got the book and I couldn't put it down. It really resonated with me, and I ended up reading it 3 times and signing up for the 14-day challenge in October of 2020.
And so I just want to stop right there for a second too, because as you said, you're a registered nurse of 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked the other day and we both were like, yes, the science was just so amazing in that. I can only imagine for you with having the background, what part of the science really hit you? Was it the willpower depletion part as being a new mom that you really identified with that, or what
Oh,
other piece?
all of it. I just, um, that book resonated with me so much. Like I said, I read it 3 times because I just couldn't get enough of it. It just spoke so much to me. And but I definitely love the parts about the leptin and the dopamine. And to me, that is the magic of bright line eating. So learning about food addiction was really eye-opening for me. And I didn't know I was a food addict. I didn't even realize that I was a binger. Even when I was reading the book, that part of the book didn't resonate with me. It wasn't until I experienced the detox that first week that I realized that I was a food addict and my brain was dependent on sugar and flour. And I had terrible headaches and fatigue that first week. I just felt grumpy and sick without sugar and flour. But after that cleared my system, it really felt like magic. After a few weeks, my cravings went to really, my cravings went to zero. And I still was a little hungry at that point. So I condensed my eating times to 11, 3, and 6.
Wait a minute.
And then my hunger went to zero as well.
So let me stop there for a second because I didn't catch that before. So you compressed your eating times because to make you less hungry?
Yes. So I do a form of intermittent fasting.
Okay.
So I just, instead of eating, having so much time in between meals, I hold off on breakfast until around 11. So I might drink some herbal tea in the morning, to hold me over. But I'm usually so busy in the morning, I don't really feel too hungry. So I eat at 11 and then I eat lunch at 3 and then dinner at 6. And then I really am very rarely hungry on that schedule.
So you mentioned about like the leptin and dopamine, and for those who are new, in the book Susan Pierce Thompson, she explains it completely about how these things work together and how over the years our dopamine receptors they're really basically being thinned out, right? And because it takes more to manage that hit of, we need more to get the same level of normalcy. So you're getting rid of all the sugar, you're getting rid of all the flour. Did you feel like your leptin recovered, or your dopamine receptors recover? And I'll tell you why too, because lately I've been having this feeling that's so odd to me. When I finish eating, I have this filled feeling, not full, just I'm filled. And I never, ever felt full before or
Oh,
this.
me either. Me either. I definitely had that insatiable hunger where I could just eat and eat and eat and never really felt satisfied. But yes, So at that point, after a few weeks in, I really had a switch where my cravings really dropped down to zero. When my dopamine receptors were replenished, and my leptin was restored, I really felt like a new person. So I feel like the leptin maybe took longer for me, and I didn't really start to feel full and wanting to move. Anyway, I could really tell a difference when my leptin was restored. Leptin, like you said, that's the hormone that makes us feel full and makes us want to move. I felt a huge difference and could tell when that kicked in again. I was losing weight really rapidly in the first few months, but I really became very energetic and had the desire to move my body after 3 to 4 months. And at this point, I was really rarely hungry, hardly ever had cravings. And after that initial period of detox, when the automaticity kicked in, it's been really smooth sailing for me. So, of course, there have been bumps in the road, and I struggle, at times to stay bright. But I try to stay 100% bright as best I can.
So Erin, so when you just said about the automaticity, for someone who's brand new tonight, who has not experienced this, what was automaticity for you? Like, was it just, I know what I'm going to eat, or what, how can you explain that?
Yeah, so automaticity is just when you get to the point where it starts to feel easy, or easier. It's obviously not easy to lose weight. It's really hard on your body. You are tired, and your fat cells, they store toxins. So when your fat cells shrink, that releases into your bloodstream and you feel tired. And automaticity, in her book, she talks about overcoming the willpower gap. So that is the one thing I really love. That is one of the things I really love about Bright Line Eating, is how it really requires very little willpower if you follow the program as outlined. So journaling and committing my food the night before has been a huge factor in my success. Journaling my feelings was really helpful for overcoming emotional eating, but overcoming the willpower gap is huge. So I didn't succeed in other programs because of willpower. So writing down my food the night before, and then the next day eating that and only that. So we don't that helps you the next day to not have to make decisions in the moment when we may be experiencing hunger or emotions or day-to-day life. We don't have to make decisions about food.
So did you pack your food, or did you just commit it? Like, I'm thinking you have a husband at home, you said, and 3 little girls. I mean, a baby, so that's really 1.5, I think you said. And so with the food, you committing your food? And are you the main cook in the house?
I do most of the cooking, yes.
Okay,
my husband helps out sometimes too.
So did you prepare the food ahead of time, or how did you manage that for your family?
I didn't prepare food ahead of time. Usually, I do love to batch cook. When I do cook meals, I try to make big batches of it so I can have it for several days. But what I meant by that was that I would just plan what I was going to eat the next day. So I have my journal, and I've gone through 2 of these, and it has everything that I have eaten the past 150 or 250 to 4 days. So I just write down what I'm going to eat the next day. I look in my fridge, see what I have, see what needs to be eaten before it goes bad, and then I just plan my meals. So I know exactly what I'll eat. When I do go to work, I do prepare my meals so that I have it ready for the morning. So when I go to work, I have everything planned out. And
So you read the book 3 times. Did you do a boot camp or a 14-day challenge or anything?
Yeah, I did the 14-day challenge in the beginning and I loved it. And I was holding off on the boot camp because it was kind of expensive for me. I was holding off, like keeping it in my back pocket for when I felt like I really needed it to help me cross the finish line. And I started that at 6 months in, and I'm just finishing it this week actually. So I also do the boot camp, and I really loved it. At first, because I had already been in it 6 months at that point, and I wasn't sure if I needed it because I had been very successful up until then. But I'm really glad that I did it because it's helped to fill in the gaps for a few things. And
No, and I'm wondering too, because you've already taken off, I think you said 100 pounds in your post.
yeah, I've lost
You must be getting
110 pounds. Yeah.
110 pounds from your starting weight.
Yes.
And you must be getting close to maintenance. So did the boot camp kind of help give you some tips for that?
Yeah, it did. One of the last modules is all about maintenance, and that has helped me a lot. That was my favorite module of the boot camp, and I really enjoyed learning about that. The book is so great because it really does have all the information you need in it to be successful, but I do feel like the boot camp has helped to lay a foundation for me that I feel will serve me for the rest of my life, So it's just a little bit more in depth. There's lots of videos. They have coaching calls. I didn't really participate in any of the coaching calls or anything. I just really benefited from the videos.
And you have a lifetime access to the modules, I think, right?
Yeah.
And also for those who are new or who are inquiring, I know that there is a scholarship program because I've heard Susan Pierce Thompson talk about it. So you can go to brightlineeating.com and look up that, because if cost is a problem, I know that they try to help out. So that's really great. And now you're looking at maintenance, and have you picked a number, or how will you go into maintenance? What is your plan?
Yeah, I rely a lot on people who have been there because I don't know. It's all so new to me. But what they recommend in the boot camp and in the book is that so you can kind of know a goal weight range based off of your height and body mass index. And for me at 5'7", that's 135 to 160. And right now I weigh 173. So my plan, from what I've asked people about, I'm going to go all the way to 160, which is the top of my range, and then I'm going to start to add in the food, and I'll try to level out around 150, which was my healthiest weight as an adult. So, and just kind of go from there and see how I feel. But yeah, it's exciting. I'm really excited.
Can you even believe it that you've made this kind of progress in this short of time?
No, it blows my mind. I cannot even believe. I really, before I started, I felt so hopeless and unable to change, and I can't even believe I'm here. Looking back, I can't believe I've lost 110 pounds. I'm so excited, and I feel so good, and I feel so much better. It really, it seemed kind of easy. And I hate to say that because, of course, it's not easy. It's not easy to lose 110 pounds, but when the way that the program is laid out, the way that it helps you to not have to use willpower, it just becomes effortless after a while. When you get into your rhythm and into your automaticity, it becomes much easier. And there's a book that Susan Pierce Thompson recommends that I read. It's called Atomic Habits. That book was life-changing for me. Habits. Yes. I'm
not done with it, but so far it's great.
It really helped me because it's all about those tiny little atomic habits, the tiny habits that we do every single day.
Yeah.
That, by small things are great things brought to pass. And so it's just about establishing really good habits and that, there's a coach of the 49ers. He was a coach of the 49ers, the football team in San Francisco. And I can't remember his name, I feel bad, but he has a quote. He says that, and it's not a direct quote, but it's to the effect that if you focus on the process, the score will take care of itself. So, as you focus on the process, as you focus on the program that is laid out, if you do that and just seek to stay bright every day, the weight will take care of itself.
Right.
You just have to stay bright every day. It's meal by meal, day by day, and not looking ahead too far.
Yeah.
That becomes really overwhelming. You just have to focus on the next right thing. So focus on getting your meals really bright. And I think that it's important to stay bright 100% of the time if you can. Just to not modify the program. I think that you're much more likely to have success if you are able to follow the program as it's written.
I have a question for you about Susan, because you were on a Facebook Live with her, and it wasn't not like you're being interviewed or anything, but my understanding from our chat the other day was that you posed a question to her and she answered back. Can you talk about that, what your question was and what came of that?
Yeah, so I've been so blessed to have my family join in with me on this journey. So as I've started and they've seen my success, I've had my husband, my parents, my two sisters, and my brother have all joined in with me, along with a lot of friends and acquaintances. So that's been really so fun to see, and I've loved that. So, but in the beginning, it was a little bit of a challenge because I'm so controlling. Maybe I don't know if it's controlling, but I just am a rule follower and wanted them to do the program how I'm doing it, and was kind of struggling with keeping my eyes on my own plate. So on the Facebook Live, I posed the question to her, like, how do I support my family without crossing boundaries? And she laughed at that question because I think, it resonates with her, and she knows it's a common issue for people. Yes. So her reply was she was emphatic about radically keeping your eyes on your own plate. So she said, they are smart and they can figure it out for themselves. Just focus on your own program and let them figure out their program. And that was really helpful. It's hard to do, but as I let go of trying to help, in quotations, help them, we help each other still, of course. But, as I let go of trying to control their program or plan their meals and do all of their stuff, letting them do their own thing, and focus on my program, I think that they became inspired from seeing my success, and then they naturally wanted to follow. So with my family, between my husband, my parents and siblings, we've all lost a combination of more than 250 pounds together. And it's just so amazing. Exciting, and that's one of my very favorite non-scale victories.
That's really great. After we talked, I thought about that, and I looked to see if Susan ever talked about that in a vlog, about, the struggle, or possibly just anything to do with family, how to deal with that. And she did. It's like in 2017, she had a vlog about, what do you do when family is struggling with the program? And she actually had 3 points. And the biggest one was keep your eyes on your own plate. But the other ones were, as you said, she said, they're smart, they'll figure it out. But, isn't it true that the closer people are to you, it's kind of like the feelings get hurt, the family dynamics, all this kind of stuff. If you start stepping on toes, you're better off just being the example. So that was the second. But the third was to have some perspective and to actually put yourself in their shoes. You were in their shoes. And had you not gone through all of that and come out on the bright side, we can have perspective now. They'll find their way too. But I know for me, I keep remembering my feet and my knee, how painful they were. And the fear of diabetes coming around the corner, those kind of things. And I have that in me when I want to go off plan. Do you have that too, Erin? Like when you think, oh, it wouldn't hurt to have this or that. Do you think back to those days? Do they pull you back in?
Oh, absolutely. I remember very vividly how it felt to be that heavy. And as part of my journaling, I wrote down what it felt like. So I can always remember, because I didn't want to forget how awful it felt.
That's so
And
great that you did
uh,
that.
yeah, like when I wrote down everything that I could remember about how it felt to be that heavy, so that I won't forget.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely have compassion toward my family and people who are struggling, because it's you have to be ready.
You do.
And I'm really glad that I was at a rock bottom place in my life, because I feel like there's a scale of readiness to change, and I was like a 10. I was so ready to change.
Yeah.
But I think it takes time to get to that point. And so yeah, you really can't force anyone
No.
into wanting to change. It has to be their decision, and really they have to take the reins and go for it, because no one can do the program for you. You have to do it for yourself.
Absolutely. Now, you said earlier, I heard you say something about that you were an emotional eater.
Mm-hmm.
How
Yes.
have you dealt with that? How have you dealt with that, and how have you gotten through it?
Yes, so definitely the hardest part of this whole thing for me has been learning to overcome my emotional eating. So, and cope with the stresses and the emotions of life without using food. So, that was a big shock to me in those first initial weeks. So, I would be bored in the afternoon, or I'd be exhausted from taking care of the kids all day, and I'd want to just eat to feel better like I used to do every day. And I didn't have the skills to cope with those emotions without food. So I brought this up at a Zoom call with my Gideon Games group. I was in a non-official Gideon, I am in a non-official Gideon Games group. And my friend, she shared what she had learned from a therapist about the importance of identifying the emotion. It's important to recognize which emotion you're feeling. So, are you angry, sad, lonely, bored, exhausted, frustrated? Just giving that emotion that you're feeling a name. And instead of eating to feel better, we have to learn to deal with that emotion head on. So, for example, if I'm exhausted at night from taking care of everyone else, I will maybe make some herbal tea, and I'll take a bubble bath and watch a show or go to bed early. If I'm angry, I'll write about it in my journal and get out all of my feelings onto paper, or I'll go on a walk around the block. If I'm sad, I'll call a friend, or I'll write in my journal, things like that. And that has really helped me to learn new coping skills, and help me to overcome my emotional eating.
So when you say, first of all, for anybody who's new, the Gideon Games, they're like the unofficial, right? Or was this in
Yeah.
the boot camp?
This is unofficial
Okay.
in the We Eat with Bright Lions group.
Because I've been in a Gideon Games, and I think there are two kinds, but so I was in the unofficial also, and it was a team of 10 people,
Mhm.
and we were in a little Facebook group, and it was awesome as far as the camaraderie. And then at the end of each day, you click a box or something like that to say if you were bright or not. Now, I understand that you even went further than that on your team, that you
Yeah,
had multiple boxes, right?
yeah. So, some of us got to the point where if we broke a line, we would feel guilty and we would, or, if we broke a line, we'd be like, well, what the heck? Like, we'll just break
Yeah,
all the lines
that was
today.
the problem I had.
So, so we changed to just having it be each line. But the Gideon Games group has been a huge support for me, and I love those ladies so much. I never knew them before this, and now are very close friends for me, and I rely a lot on their wisdom. And we're all in different points in our journey, but it's been really so fun to like the social support. Is huge. And I recommend that anyone who is doing bright line eating um, surround themselves with a social support system. So I have a really loving and supportive husband. And I always tell him that he gives me wings to fly. So he's been extremely encouraging and helpful to me. And my friends and family members, like I've said, I've had a lot of people join in this journey with me, and that's been so fun. My Gideon Games group. So, and also like the Brightline Eating Facebook page has been amazing. I love the official Facebook page and the We with Bright Lines. There's also one for my church that I love, and I post questions on there often and get so many replies. Like this community of Brightline Eating, I was blown away with how supportive and loving everyone is. And I'll post and get like hundreds of responses and encouragement, and it's such a neat community.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. And I'm going to put in a plug for Starting Out Bright too. That's a private group. And for newbies too, there's like Joyful Newbies or something like that. I have a
Yeah,
couple questions here that I don't want to miss as we keep going. One question is, what types of food did you eat or do you eat? Are they simple and plain, or do you follow recipes? What do you mainly do? There were some pictures that we put on the slideshow, which all
yeah.
look so good.
Oh, I love the food in Brightline Eating.
Yeah,
It's
I know. It's just so amazing. Who could
food. It's like
guess?
abundant, whole, clean food. So I try to keep it simple. I don't do a lot of recipes. I just don't have time for a lot of recipes, but there are a few recipes that I really love. So, like I'll make the breakfast oatmeal muffins a lot, and my kids love them too. And but I try to keep it really simple. I do a lot of sheet pan roasted vegetables
Mm.
in my convection oven. I do that. I have an air fryer. I make a lot of vegetables in there. I'll try to make things in bulk. Like on Sunday, my husband, he's such a master griller, and he'll grill up a whole bunch of meat for the week, and then we'll just, put things together throughout the week. But we don't do a lot of recipes. But I do have I there are some recipes that I have gotten, and I love.
How does that transfer to the kids? How are they around this? Are you
Yeah. So
expecting them to eat this way, or do you kind of modify it for them?
yeah, so like I said, I have three small children, and I don't think that kids should ever be put on a restrictive diet. And if they do need intervention, I think definitely work closely with your pediatrician. My pediatrician, he's given lots of tips for helping my kids to not be picky eaters and to teaching them to eat healthy. So I'm trying to help my kids avoid the food issues that I developed. And I try to never talk about weight, my weight or their weight. And our focus is more on becoming a healthy family. So that's our verbiage, being healthy. Um, I allow my kids candy, snacks, sugar, and flour treats, and everything in moderation. I have all their Halloween candy and Easter candy in my closet, and they know they can come to me every day and have one or two little pieces per day. But I try not, but they usually don't ask for it every day. But, they get so much candy and unhealthy food at school and friends and grandparents' houses and everywhere else. So I don't limit that. I just try to talk to them about how important it is to make healthy choices when they're at school, away from home. But no food is good or bad. It's just
You said something about
healthier, but no food's off limits for my
so
kids.
Erin, you were saying something that so that your kids are not picky eaters. You had a little strategy that we talked about the other day that came from your pediatrician, and I had the same kind of strategy with our granddaughter who was a picky eater, and after doing this, she's not anymore. So if you would talk about that for someone who might have a child who doesn't like to eat things.
Yeah, so my pediatrician, he just says that, if you can get your kid to taste a certain food like 10 times, they'll gain a taste for it. So they're pretty good eaters. They're still picky at times, but I think all kids are picky. So what we do in my family is, so they pretty much, so at home, I stopped buying the unhealthy foods in my house. We do have like their Halloween candy in my closet and stuff. And we have some granola bars and applesauce and bread and like some convenience foods for them in my house. But, the really unhealthy cookies and stuff, we don't buy those anymore. So our meals and snacks at home consist of compliant BLE food for the most part. So I make them what I'm eating. And Susan's advice in the book was really helpful to me. We try to sit down together as a family for each meal at the table without distractions. For the most part, they eat what I eat. I always include grains and fruits for them at each meal. And I'm on the weight loss plan and don't eat those at every meal. But in the book, she recommends making a big bowl of starch for dinner, like pasta, rice, potatoes, things like that. So we do that. And I also offer them what I'm eating, my protein, veggie, and fat options. So, and so I put one of each thing on their plate, and they don't have to eat it all. I don't make them ever eat everything on their plate. I'm trying to teach them intuitive eating and to listen to their tummy if they're still hungry or not. But I do, if they want to eat more strawberries or something, they can have as many as they want, as long as they have smelled, licked, and tasted the other things on their plate first. Right. So I'll just make them smell it, lick it, taste it, to have them, and they don't have to eat everything on their plate, but if they want more strawberries or something, they have to taste the other stuff first. So
right. That's kind of in line with what my naturopath said for the one child, like to actually touch the food to her tongue. She didn't really say the sniffing and all that, but just to touch it 10 times, not at that same meal, but over the course of days, the next time, let's say a peach or whatever, to just touch it to her tongue. There's some kind of reflex that as a baby you can like push away food, and so it's kind of like bringing it back. I just thought that was really interesting. The other thing that when you were talking the other day, you do something kind of special at night too, or when you put your baby to bed.
Oh yeah, so my kids are really my reason why, and they are everything to me, and I want to be a better mom. I want to be there for them. But So when I'm holding my baby during nap time or nighttime, I take that time to really just kind of do some visualization. So as she's falling asleep on me, I'll do some deep breathing and some meditation and just try to visualize what what it will be like to um, be in my goal body and in the boot camp, that was a really important tool that was brought to me. Um, uh, what that was an important tool that I learned in the boot camp was visualization. So uh, in the boot camp, they explained that visualization on its own really it doesn't help you at all if it's on its own. What you need to do when you're visualizing is not just being at your goal body. It's really you need to visualize um, the outcome, the obstacles, and make a plan to overcome those. It's an acronym. It's WOOP. So wish, outcome, obstacle, and plan. And so it's a great way to use the power of our brains to like help us on this journey. I think our brains are so powerful and amazing that our thoughts are so powerful. You know, uh, Visualizing what it will feel like, um, how our life will be different, and how we will interact with the world when we're at our goal body. Really
Be
go
able
into
to,
detail with our visualizations, and then visualizing any obstacles that may impede us from reaching our goal, and then making a plan for how to overcome those obstacles. So um, I was grateful for the boot camp for that because that has helped me a lot. So we have to have grit and we have to have unstoppability to be one of the few, statistically speaking, that will lose all the weight and keep it off forever. The statistics are abysmal for people like us, but we
yeah.
can, in Brightline Meeting, the statistics are a lot better. Um, and I think that tools like this are really helpful in overcoming those obstacles that may get in our way.
Yeah, I think that you're right on with that. And even like the visualization, I remember a few years ago, it was after the Olympics. Remember Michael Phelps, the swimmer? And I think he got like in his lifetime, maybe I have the number wrong, but it seems like it was like 28 medals. And he was talking about from even as a small child, he would visualize swimming. And so one of the times that he was in the Olympics, his goggles were all fogged up, but he had already visualized, winning through every obstacle. It was already played out in his head. I heard years and years ago that our minds do not really know the difference between truth and fiction. It's just what it's constantly fed.
Yes.
So, for example, even if like we're telling ourselves, you're terrible, I'm ashamed of you, whatever, we're having those bad feelings. Or else we can be telling ourselves good things to motivate ourselves. Or like, you're talking about like the emotional part where you're writing down your feelings or you're just like identifying your feelings. That doesn't make you a bad person. It means one thing is going on in your life and you're dealing with it. I was going to ask you about the emotional part. Do you have like a set plan ahead of time? Like if I'm feeling this way, I'm going to pick up my knitting or like you have a plan of action?
Yes, I have an emergency action plan. So if I go off, um, if I break a bright line, then I follow these steps. And so I do. I have several steps that I follow to help me to stay on track. So I definitely, it includes reaching out for support. It includes like prayer, uh, uh, reading my journal, reading my past posts about my why, why I want to lose 120 pounds, how it felt to weigh that at my highest. And
Yeah.
so that emergency action plan is really important to me. And then I end my emergency action plan by committing to 7 super squeaky clean bright days again.
Oh, wow.
To help me get back on track. Just I think that as we talked about, the statistics for us are so abysmal, but we can do it. And in the boot camp, one of the things I loved that she said was, what sets us apart from what sets a person in that small percentage that's very successful, keeping the weight off forever, long term, is their ability to resume. So, pretty much any program, if you stuck with it forever, you could be successful long term, right? So our ability to get up back on track when we go off track is one of the most important things that we need to learn on this journey, is to have that grit and that unstoppability. We don't have to be perfect. We just have to be unstoppable. And there's I love Christy McCammon's video on YouTube about that. I think it's titled "Don't Be Perfect, Just Be Unstoppable" or something. But that really inspired me at the beginning. It's like, okay, I can do this. And as we keep going, it's like each meal, each day, it's like laying a brick in our foundation for healthy living for the rest of our lives. And as we keep laying those bricks one by one, our foundation will become stronger, and it gets easier. The more we do it, the easier it will get. And I'm just at the point where I feel like unstoppable. I know I'm going to succeed. I know I'm going to achieve my goal, and I'm not gonna, but at the same time, we have to be really cautious about being overconfident.
Exactly.
We can't be overconfident and want to, because we have to be cautious. We have to be aware of our limitations and, realize that we are always only a couple of feet from the ditch. So making those tiny course corrections and trying to stay bright 100% of the time, I feel like is really key. And I love the quote, 100% is a breeze, 98% is a beast. So
88% is a beast.
It is. So
I want to ask you,
much harder to have that little wiggle room,
right.
we don't achieve that peace and that food freedom if we just, well, at least in my case, I'm a 10 on the susceptibility scale.
The time is ticking away, Erin, and I want to ask you a couple more questions. First of all, in all of this journey, if you could tell us your top non-scale victories, what would those be?
Yeah, so there are truly countless non-scale victories. And I have a list as long as my arm in my journal. But my top one is that since I started this way of life, I feel so much closer to God. And I feel that as I've become more free from my obsession and addiction to food, I can better hear God's voice in my life. And during these past months, since I started Bright Line Eating, I've really felt an abundance of God's love for me and His Spirit and guidance. And that has brought me so much joy and peace. So in my church, we believe in a law of health, which like a commandment to take care of our bodies. And we don't drink coffee or caffeinated tea or alcohol, and we don't do drugs. We believe in moderation. We call it the word of wisdom. But I've always tried to live that way. But for the first time in my life, I feel like I am truly living that commandment to the fullest and reaping the blessings that come from caring for the sacred gift that God has given me, which is my body. And our bodies are such an amazing thing. That's partly why I wanted to become a nurse, was to study our bodies. Yeah, definitely the other things,
Awesome.
just my life has opened up. Things that I have never thought I'd be able to do again are possible again. I can ride a horse, I can ride a bike, I can climb mountains. So I have a lot of new dreams and goals, and that's really exciting.
That's so fantastic. And you said, earlier, a few minutes ago, about not being overconfident. Don't you feel like you've been given this gift and you don't want to squander the gift and take the gift for granted? I mean, to me, that's how I feel. It's like as easy as it could be to say, oh, well, I'll jump back on. Why put yourself through that? Just, trust that this has been a gift given to you and do the best you can with the day that you have in front of you. And it is getting so close. I want to ask you one more thing, Erin. Tonight, there's probably somebody here right on this call, but thank you for letting me record it, because I know that others will be listening to your story. But if you were sitting right across from them and you had that chance to tell them about Bright Line Eating, what would you tell them about starting the program?
It can be so overwhelming at first. It is such a big life change, but I think you just can't focus on that. You really have to focus on what is right in front of you. To begin, there's a quote that says, to begin, begin. Just jump in and just focus on each meal, each day, one day at a time, one meal at a time. And that's how I lost 110 pounds, was one meal at a time. So looking back, I can't believe that I did that. But I know that, um, you know, I feel like Heavenly Father helped me. I feel like um, I had some strength above my own, but I feel like if we follow the program 100% of the time, as it's written out, I really just recommend not making substitutions, and put on your bunny slippers. Just focus on getting the weight off, go all in. Just simplify the rest of your life so that you can really focus on the weight loss phase. So it's temporary. It's but it's so possible. And yeah, I I don't be perfect, be unstoppable. I love the Navy SEALs and all of their books, and I read a lot of those, and they just talk about no plan B.
No plan B.
No plan B.
Just do it.
Just do it. You know what? There's
I
no other
like
option.
that.
Yeah.
I love that, actually. And I think about something you said when you started out with, had you not been vulnerable for that moment that you went to your church family or your mom's group, and you just poured it out. You're like, I am at the bottom. I need help. Sometimes it takes asking for help. And so, like, even if somebody's here today, jump into the groups. Don't do this alone. There are so many people just waiting to love you and to help you through this process. I mean, just like Erin on that Facebook post that I saw, and it's like, you're there to help. People are not posting their then and now pictures like, hey, look at me. No, it's like, I want to give you hope that this can happen for you too. That's what I saw in you, Erin. And, you're doing a beautiful thing by living your life this way, not just for your family, not for your extended family, but for your little girls who are growing up and they're having a healthy mom, for one, healthy all the way around. So I just applaud you for the changes you've made and the inspiration you are in the Bright Line community. And I thank you so much for being here tonight.
Yeah, thank you. People always say that they could never give up sugar and flour, and I felt that way too, but it's a sacrifice, and we are giving up something that we love for something that we want and need even more. And, I am so grateful that I have found Brightline Eating, and it has helped me so much, and it's really changed my life. So thank you for having me here on your podcast.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. And the time is up, so I'm going to have to close as I do each week. Thanks again, Erin. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. This will be a recording that you can find on YouTube, too. So be sure to stay close and help each other, and we can get through this. So I'm going to say good night, stay bright, and don't let the bed bugs bite. Good night, everybody.
Thanks, Noreen.
So, Erin, would you like to play 3-Question Thursday?
Yes, I do.
Wonderful. 3-Question Thursday, and I never know what the questions are going to be. But I'm going to ask you a question that actually was in the chat. How often do you weigh yourself?
In the beginning, I weighed myself every day. And that served me for a long time until I got frustrated by the number, not seeing the number on the scale. I felt like in the beginning it was helpful for me to get used to the ups and downs, because ups and downs are very normal in losing weight. My trend definitely goes like this. It's like downward trend, but it's definitely rocky. So, but that served me until about 6 months, and then I switched to weekly or bi-weekly. So I weigh myself twice a week right now.
Okay, well, that's kind of a nice middle ground. Instead of every day and instead of once a week, so twice a week. That's really great. Okay.
I think it's just important to not let the number on the scale discourage you if it doesn't reflect your efforts, because what's more important is the long-term trend. So looking at the weekly and monthly trends is much more important than day-to-day, but getting used to the ups and downs of day-to-day is good for us as well. It's important to be okay with those as well. If your weight goes up a couple pounds and then down a couple pounds, and it's very normal.
Okay, so here's the second question. Has there been any food that has surprised you on this journey that you either really started to like or that you were surprised that you liked now that because I'm like you, we've dieted for years and years and years. So were there any surprises?
Oh, I just love all of my food. I'm not a picky eater. I love the food on Brightline Eating. And I just don't even miss the not my food. I don't miss the sugar and flour anymore. But I don't know. I really love roasted chickpeas
Oh,
or air fried chickpeas. Those are like my favorite. I love those so much. But
do you use them with anything in particular, like on a salad or something, or
yeah, really, really crunchy and like croutons on a salad. They're so good.
So do you take them out of the can and then you put them in the air fryer? Okay.
Yeah, like drain them and I rinse them, and then I put some oil, salt, and pepper on them, and then just put them in my air fryer.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, that's so yummy. But I don't know. I just have always loved all food, so.
Okay. Well, then you're not really missing any of the junk.
I know. I guess my surprise has been that I don't crave that food anymore. That is what is surprising to me.
That's great. Okay, third question. I remember reading or seeing something that you like to hike.
Yeah.
Do you pack like a lunch or anything like that when you go? Like what would be something that you would take that would still be bright?
Yeah, so my little girls and I, we made our own little hiking club. It's cute. So most of our hikes are like half a mile,
Okay. I love it.
But yeah, I did do like a 6 mile hike the other day with my husband.
Okay.
And I just, like with exercising and stuff, I don't add more food. I usually feel full on the food that's on my weight loss plan, and so I don't really add more. But if I was going to do like a really long hike, I
More
might.
than around the block.
But what I brought the other day to our 6 mile hike, I just had some nuts and cheese and chicken and hummus and like just fresh veggies and a fruit,
Nice.
so just packable things. But
That's great. Okay, well, I think that's the cutest thing ever, the hiking club for you and your girls. That's
they're
great.
really proud of their hikes, and they go like a quarter of a mile.
Just think, Erin, just
As long
think
as
just think all the hiking you'll be doing because of this. It's
I'm
awesome.
just trying to get them to like it, to think that they like it.
That is so great. Well, thank you so much for tonight, and thanks for playing 3-Question Thursday.
Yeah, thanks, Noreen.
You're welcome.
So fun talking with you tonight.
You too. Have a good night, everybody. Stay bright.
Thanks, everyone.